If you've ever watched your AI generate a brilliant looking function that instantly crashes your app, you've seen what I call a random act of stupidity. It's not that the AI is dumb, it's that we trained it to follow feelings instead of structure. That's vibe coding, building with intuition, skipping the logic, and hoping the output magically works. The scary part, those small random errors don't stay small. One vibe coded function becomes the foundation for another until the entire project rests on unstable logic. Everything looks fine until it collapses under real world conditions. That's how vibe coding silently breaks projects from the inside out. The fix isn't more prompting, it's MCP, modular cognitive programming. MCP teaches both you and your AI to think in systems, not sentences. It breaks big goals into reasoning modules, validates each one, and only then executes. It's like replacing spontaneous creativity with strategic cognition, the difference between chaos and architecture. So, why should you care? Because the cost of one random act of stupidity can be weeks of debugging and broken trust in your tools. MCP stops that cycle by enforcing cognitive order, a way to make AI dependable, not unpredictable. Have you ever made a tiny change in your AI generated project only to watch everything start behaving weirdly? That's the hidden danger behind vibe coding. It looks fun, fast, and harmless at first, but behind the flashy output, there's a ticking time bomb. You think you're making progress, but what you're really doing is setting the stage for random acts of stupidity that can break your entire project. The psychology behind it is simple. When non programmers see something working, their brain immediately rewards them. A little dopamine hit, a sense of accomplishment, and suddenly confidence skyrockets. You start thinking, I don't need to understand this. The AI is doing it for me. That overconfidence is dangerous. The more you rely on AI to generate outputs without understanding the underlying system, the more likely you are to introduce errors you don't even see coming. So, how do projects actually break? One common culprit is the AI rewriting whole parts of your code without warning. You make a small tweak, and suddenly something that was fine yesterday no longer works. Incremental changes turn into chaotic rewrites, and previous fixes vanish. Imagine stacking dominoes. One small nudge sends them all tumbling, and you never saw it coming. Or picture firing arrows at a target. A few hit close to the center, but most fly off in random directions. That's vibe coding in a nutshell, seemingly productive but inherently unpredictable. The collateral damage doesn't stop there. Hidden costs pile up fast, cloud fees can explode overnight, performance may slow, and security holes can appear without you realizing it. Hackers could exploit vulnerabilities, or worse, user data might be exposed. The fun of instant AI generation quickly turns into hours of fixing problems you never created consciously, erasing the time you thought you saved. And here comes the sorcerer's apprentice effect. Like in the old story where the apprentice enchants the brooms and loses control, vibe coding can spiral out of control as project complexity increases. So you feel accomplished because code is being generated automatically, but in reality, you're barely in the driver's seat. Automated output gives a false sense of mastery while hiding the chaos building underneath. This is where traditional structured development shines. Stepwise programming, careful versioning, and incremental improvement prevent these random acts of stupidity. Professionals anticipate problems, plan iterations, and maintain control at every step. Vibe coding skips all of that, making it easy to feel productive while actually increasing project risk. Skipping fundamentals is another trap when you rely on AI without learning how software works. You create brittle systems. You might think you're building something amazing, but the reality is that small mistakes can cascade into massive failures. Amateur enthusiasm feels empowering, but it often comes at the expense of stability, security, and maintainability. Can AI be tamed? To some extent, yes. Setting constraints, using version control, and applying context aware protocols like the Model Context Protocol MCP can reduce unpredictability. MCP helps maintain consistency across iterations, limiting chaotic rewrites. But it's not a magic bullet. AI is a tool, not a replacement for human judgment. Without understanding, oversight, and guidance, projects are still vulnerable to random failures. For young programmers, the lesson is clear. Tools are only as good as the person using them. Understanding what's happening behind the scenes, thinking critically about each change, and using AI responsibly can prevent your project from becoming a mess. Producing code isn't the same as producing reliable, maintainable software. Long-term thinking and careful guidance beat instant gratification every time. In the end, vibe coding is seductive, addictive, and feels like productivity, but it can break projects in ways you didn't anticipate. Random acts of stupidity aren't random at all. They're predictable consequences of skipping fundamentals and blindly trusting AI. Balance experimentation with understanding, guide your tools wisely, and focus on creating real, lasting value. That's how you turn the chaos into control and make AI a true ally rather than a source of frustration.